The city was a tough place to find work, especially when you didn't have much experience. I needed money, and I needed it fast. That's how I found myself standing in front of the old Grand Hotel one evening. The sign flickered, half the letters burned out, casting a sickly yellow glow on the wet pavement. The building was squeezed between two newer, brighter buildings, like a forgotten tooth in a row of shiny new ones. Inside, the lobby was tired and silent, the air thick with dust and old cigarettes. I was there for the night receptionist job. The manager, a tired-looking man, hired me on the spot. My first night was quiet, too quiet. The clock ticked loudly. I sat behind the desk, watching the empty lobby. No one came in, no one went out. The hotel seemed to be holding its breath. The manager gave me simple instructions: answer the phone, give keys to late guests, and watch the security monitors. 4 small black and white screens showed the lobby, hallway, back entrance, and third-floor landing, grainy, flickering images. For hours, nothing moved. Just me, the ticking clock, and the silent screens. The Grand Hotel felt like it had been asleep for 100 years. On my third night, an old man named Arthur came to relieve me before sunrise. He'd worked at the Grand Hotel for over 30 years, moving slowly, his face a roadmap of wrinkles. As I was leaving, he spoke in a low, raspy whisper. "The hotel remembers things," he said, "and not all memories are good." He leaned closer. "Stay away from the 3rd floor. Never go near room 313. I asked why. He just shook his head. "Some doors are meant to stay closed. The manager will say it's for storage, but don't believe him. There's nothing in there you want to see. Promise me," I promised, just to get him to stop. As I walked home, his words echoed in my head. Room 313. It was just a number, but the old man's fear was real. I tried to laugh it off, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the Grand Hotel had a dark heart. Arthur's warning stuck with me, a seed of curiosity planted deep. The name of the room haunted my thoughts. I wondered what could be so terrible behind that door. I told myself it was just a story, but I wasn't sure I believed it. The next night, Arthur's warning was all I could think about. I watched the 3rd floor monitor, staring at the dark corner just out of view. My curiosity became an itch I couldn't scratch. During a quiet moment, I left the desk and climbed the creaking stairs. The 3rd floor was colder, the silence heavy. I walked down the hallway, passing faded doors until I found it. Room 313. The numbers were almost gone, scratched away by frantic fingernails. Deep gouges surrounded the doorknob and keyhole. Someone had tried desperately to get out, or in. I touched the scarred wood. A wave of sadness and fear washed over me. I pressed my ear to the door. At first nothing, then a faint wet thudding, thump, thump, thump. My heart pounded. I pulled away, chilled to the bone. I hurried back to the stairs, the sound echoing in my mind. The door's secrets felt closer than ever. I tried to forget, but the image haunted me. Something was waiting behind that door. After seeing the door, I couldn't get the image out of my head. I started hearing things, at first just the groans and rattles of an old building. But then, footsteps above the lobby, right where the 3rd floor hallway would be. Whispers followed, drifting down the staircase, barely audible. Sometimes I could almost make out a word, a name, a plea. One night the phone rang. An internal call, from room 313. I stared at the phone, frozen. It rang again. I picked up, silent, static. Then a faint, childish whisper, "Help!" The line went dead. I slammed the phone down, heart racing. I told myself it was a crossed wire, but I knew it wasn't true. The voice was too real, a child's voice, desperate and afraid. I looked at the monitor. The hallway was empty, but the shadows near room 313 seemed deeper. The hotel felt colder, the silence heavier. I couldn't escape the feeling that something was calling to me. The whispers grew stronger each night. I was being drawn to the 3rd floor. My fear battled my curiosity. I became obsessed with the security monitors, especially the 3rd floor landing. For nights, nothing changed. Just the same empty, flickering hall. Then, one night, the image glitched violently. When it settled, A dark shape stood at the far end of the hallway under the buzzing light. Tall, thin, a silhouette, perfectly still. I leaned in, breathless. No features, just a human-shaped void. It didn't walk. It glided, slow and unnatural toward the camera, closer and closer until it filled the screen with darkness. The monitor went black, then returned to normal, empty hall. My hand shook. I replayed it in my mind, searching for an explanation. No guest moved like that. No camera glitch was so deliberate. The thing on the screen knew it was being watched. It had come from room 313. The room was daring me to uncover its secrets. That was the last straw. The figure, the whispers, the scratched door. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know what was inside room 313. I grabbed the master keys and climbed the stairs, heart pounding. The third floor was colder than ever, the hallway a tunnel of shadows. The thudding sound started again as I approached the door, louder, insistent like a heartbeat. I stared at the deep scratches, the marks of terror. I tried the master key, but before I turned it, I reached for the knob. It turned easily. The door was unlocked. A wave of ice-cold air flowed out, carrying a faint, sweet smell of decay. The thudding stopped. Silence fell. I hesitated, but curiosity gripped me. I pushed the door open. It swung inward, revealing absolute darkness. I stood on the threshold, staring into the void. This was my last chance to turn back. But I stepped inside, unable to resist. The secrets of room 313 waited in the dark. I stepped inside. The air was thick, heavy, hard to breathe. The door slammed shut behind me, plunging me into darkness. I fumbled for a light switch. Nothing. Hello? My voice was swallowed by the blackness. I moved forward, hands outstretched, and kicked something soft. Kneeling, I found a toy car, then a stuffed bear. This was a child's room. Dread washed over me as I remembered the whisper on the phone. A faint, ghostly light shimmered in the center of the room, growing into a sickly green glow. In the light, I saw a small bed. A young boy sat on the edge, pale and flickering. He looked up, eyes dark with sorrow, mouth open in a silent plea. Behind him, a tall, dark shape materialized. A woman, her face twisted in rage and despair. She raised a pillow, her eyes burning with hatred. She looked at me, and a silent scream tore through the room. The wave of pain and anger hit me like a physical blow. The darkness pressed in, suffocating. I realized I was not alone, and never had been. I stumbled back, throat tight with terror. The woman and boy vanished, but their presence lingered. The cold was unbearable, their despair pressing in on me. I scrambled for the door. It wouldn't turn. I was trapped. Panic seized me. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the darkness. Then a soft scratching from the other side of the door, fingernails clawing at the wood. This time I knew the scratching was to keep me in. A new whisper filled the room, a man's voice, full of regret. I shouldn't have come in here. He warned me. The voice was my own, but not from my mouth. An echo, a memory. The darkness thickened, wrapping around me. My strength faded, my will draining away. In a flicker of light I saw a reflection, a man in a night receptionist's uniform scratching at the door, his fingers bloody. He looked just like me. The darkness swirled and I felt myself falling, sinking into the cold heart of room 313. The last thing I heard was the boy's whisper, "Help!" Silence closed in, absolute and final. The hotel's secret claimed another soul. A week later, a new young man stood nervously in the Grand Hotel lobby. He needed the money. The night receptionist job seemed easy. The manager, tired and expressionless, gave him a quick tour. Just watch the desk, answer the phones, keep an eye on the monitors. The last guy just left. Didn't even pick up his paycheck. The manager handed over the keys, keeping one old brass key for himself. The new guy pointed at the third-floor monitor. "What's with that corner?" "That's room 313, the manager said. "Sealed for years. Storage. Don't go up there." He gave the new receptionist a long, hard look. "Stay behind the desk. Don't go wandering." The new receptionist nodded, unsettled. On his first night, the silence pressed in. He thought he heard scratching upstairs, but dismissed it. He glanced at the monitors. The third-floor hallway was empty, except for a flicker of movement near room 313. It looked like someone was standing there, scratching at the door, a man in a night receptionist's uniform, frantic and desperate. The new receptionist shivered, trying to ignore it. But deep in the silence, a faint whisper drifted down the stairs. Help! The Grand Hotel's secret waited for him too,